Okay, girls, this is AE, factorizing by grouping. This is where we have four terms. Remember, terms are these algebraic expressions that are split up by plus and minus signs, and we group them into pairs to start factorizing. So, I'm a wacky one. I can't see a lot right with it. I can't see that I could group these two together and factorize something out and these two together. Maybe I could get an X out of these, but it doesn't look very good. Actually, let me save that one for a little bit later. Let's do this one first, okay? This one, I can see the first two, I can factorize an X out of, and I get X plus 2. And the second two, I could take a negative 18 out. Let's see. Negative 18 times x will give me negative 18x. And negative 18 times positive 2 would give me 36. And I end up in that situation where I have these two things that are the same, and then x minus 18 left over. So I write that as x plus 2. They have in common. That's the common factor. And then x minus 18 left over. Let's go back up here. I think what I'm going to do is I can see that these two have something in common. So I'm going to group them like that. I'm going to write 2x squared, and then I'm going to write plus x next. That one. Then minus 9 minus 18x. Oh, should I write it like that? Let's see what happens. I get x out of the first two. And that gives me 2x plus 1. And then when I take negative 9 out of these, because they have 9 in common, I get 1 plus x, 2x. Now the question is 2x plus 1 and 1 plus 2x, is that the same thing? It is. When I'm adding, these are the same. So I can write that thing out the front in either way that you want to write it. And the leftover is x minus 9. Okay, let's try another. Let's see, these both have an A in them, and these both have a D in them. These both have a 4 and a B, and these both have a 7 and a C. I think I'm going to group them. Well, let's do it both ways. Let's do it the first way, where I just take these two and take an A out. That gives me 4b minus 7c. And then I'm going to group these two. No negative there, so I don't have to take a negative out. And they have a d in common. 4b minus 7c. They have this common factor, binomial factor. So I write that down first. And then I write the leftover. Sorry, girls, it's a D. Now let's say I chose to say, hey, wait a minute, I'd rather group these two together, 4ab plus 4bd, and group these two together, minus 7ac minus 7cd. This time I'm going to do these two, and they have a 4 and a b. So I'm left with a plus d. And here, I can take that negative 7. So I'm left with A plus, remember when you take out a negative, that sign changes, D. And look, they still have that in common. So this is what they have in common. And the leftovers are here. Same? Same. They're exactly the same. It didn't matter if I regrouped or not. Okay, now, on this one, they actually... I'm sorry if that glitched on the end there. I don't know if it did. On this one, it actually says to rearrange the terms first, because 2x squared and 3 have nothing in common. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to rearrange the terms, and I'm going to go, well, look, I reckon that the 6 and the 3 could go together, and this could go together because they both have an x and they both have a factor of 3. So I'm going to rewrite it as 2x squared minus x plus 6x minus 3. And I'm going to get an x out of the first two, and I'm left with 2x minus 1, and a 3 out of the next two, and I'm left with 2x minus 1. And I have these in common, so I'm going to put that in the front, and the leftover. Okay, so that's good. Here's your work from Cambridge. I know that this section is a little bit more difficult than the one we worked on, so we'll do lots of work in class together. I know that this section is a little bit harder than the one that the previous ones, 8E, so we'll do lots of work in class together, and we'll make sure everybody gets this before we move on to the next thing, because this is super important. So try these, and I'll be walking around and helping.